1 second once we can get that stage chat unlocked. Oh, sweet, we are unlocked. Cool. Let me drop the Zoom link. Feel free to follow along at the Zoom over on this linked in the stage chat or in general. Please, if you are joining the Zoom, please mute yourself so we don't get any feedback issues as we go from one to the other. And I'm going to grab that POAP URL as well and share that. Looks like we got someone. Oh, yep. If you're joining the Zoom, please mute so I don't get an echo of myself. I hate hearing myself. Here is the POAP. Well, it's hot and fresh. It doesn't have a cool logo to it yet, but we will update that. So at some point in the future, you will see a nice, neat logo there. Right now, it's just a little ShapeShift coming soon. And all right, we will get started. So if I can direct your guys' attention over to the slides, that's where we'll be following along throughout this kickoff. If you have any questions, please drop them in the stage chat there, and we will have a Q&A at the very end where we'll be able to open the floor up to get some questions from the crowd as well. All right. So welcome to the Operations Workstream Kickoff. Today's the 7th of September. There's your POAP right there. My name is Tyler ShapeShift. I'll get my intro once we get into intros, but thank you so much for joining us. This is the meeting where we're going to go over all of the proposed responsibilities and sort of future goals of the operations work stream as it relates to the ShapeShift product suite and the DAO going forward. Could you hop onto that next slide for me, Shifty? All right. So to get us started, the proposal hasn't passed yet. It is up until September 9th, right before the governance call. So if you haven't voted yet and you like what you hear on this call, please go hop over to Boardroom and throw a vote towards the operation proposal. Right now we're at 2.39 million votes for yes. And I don't want to jinx it, but not a single vote for no yet. So please vote if you can. I'd love to see everyone who's on this call today. If you haven't voted yet and you're interested, please go throw us a vote, throw some boxes at us so we can make sure that this happens. All right, next slide. So this is the agenda we're going to go over today. We're going to do some introductions from both the centralized current operations team as well as some of the operations work stream leaders that are moving on from centralized into the DAO, and then reach out to anyone in the community who may be involved. Oh man, I'm going to keep hearing that echo. Who may be involved in any sort of operations or interested in operations moving forward. Love to hear from you as well. After that, we're going to dive into some proposed responsibilities for the operations work stream. This is a little deeper dive than what was presented in the proposals that everyone has voted on. And then we will follow up with the budget, some next steps in the DAO, and then we'll open the floor for Q&A with anyone who's got some questions they'd like to ask or ideas they'd like to offer. And then after that, we've got the weekly engineering workstream kickoff, which I believe will be happening here on the stage as well. I will defer to Josh in case there is a change there, but this will be ending right at 11:30 Denver time, and that kickoff will be starting. So I'd love to see as many of you jump from operations over to engineering and give a whole bunch of support and love to that call as well. Can we hop onto that next slide? All right. So for intros, I am Tyler. My Discord handle is Tyler ShapeShift. I've been with ShapeShift since March of 2017. I've worn a whole bunch of different hats, and I am currently proposing to be the workstream leader moving forward into the DAO. My favorite crypto, I used to always say Doge with this question, but it's kind of undergone a lot of scammy stuff recently. So maybe I would probably say Bitcoin, Ether, or Atoms would be my three favorite projects and coins and portfolio allocations that I have currently. How would I like to contribute? I would love for the proposal to pass and for me to be the work stream leader and help organize everything and make this work stream as efficient and productive as possible. And what am I hoping to get out of today's meeting? I'm hoping to get through all of these slides. And I hope that I portray a good mission of my intentions for the work stream. And I hope that you guys have some good questions for me. And then I will open the floor up. Who would like to do an intro next? I have to jump on the stage to do that. There we go.
Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you. I think that means everyone can.
Sweet. Hello, everybody. My name is T Shifty. I've worked at ShapeShift centralized ShapeShift for close to 4 years. Started off in support and then moved on to operations. I am a proposed operations assistant, which I'm looking forward to extending my job into the DAO. That would be awesome, and I'm looking forward to it. My favorite crypto is Rune, because cross-chain liquidity is fucking awesome. I don't think anybody can say otherwise. How would I like to contribute? I'd like to continue to contribute by bringing ShapeShift users' issues to the forefront and catching bugs before they ever make it to them. What do you hope to get out of today's meeting? I hope that everyone in here gains a clear understanding of operations purpose and how to utilize us. And that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Shifty. Who else can I have jump up here on the stage? I've sent out. There we go.
Hey, everybody. I'm Danielle, the current Director of Operations at ShapeShift. I am really excited to see Tyler stepping up and owning this work stream. So yeah, I just wanted to come up and just say hi and introduce myself, but just give my support to Tyler as you're embarking as the work stream leader. Where's my Zoom now that I moved back to Discord? One sec. Oh yeah. So my name and everywhere I think is just Danielle. Oh wait, my Discord is ss-Danielle. My favorite crypto. It's funny, we used to ask this question all the time. I always would say Bitcoin, but I guess Ethereum is creeping on up for me. How do I want to contribute? I just want to make sure that everything that we support as a centralized department kind of gets moved over, but we also don't just keep ourselves like boxed into like, oh, we always did this, so that's what we need to do moving forward, and just kind of be open to whatever the DAO needs. We found that operations is a very important team just to kind of fill the holes and keep things going when there's been problems in the past. So I hope that ops kind of fills that role still in the DAO. And then what do I hope to get out of today's meeting is I want to hear who else is interested in operations. That's all for me.
Thanks, Danielle. I'm really excited to work with you in the transition and see how I can make your job easier as the DAO takes over everything. John or Alyssa, would you like to go next?
Hey guys, I guess I could go next. Okay, my first is my name or Discord handle. My name is really Alyssa, but my Discord handle is Lich. I'll explain that on the last part. My favorite crypto I think is ETH because I like how like all the other tokens can also be on it and be Fox being one of them too. How would I like to contribute? I do like my everyday regression tests and also after every engineering deploys. So I think it's very useful that we catch those bugs before it gets to users. Next is what do you hope to get out of today's meeting? A funny thing because everybody's wondering how my Discord handle is supposed to be pronounced. So it's Lich. So it's like a glitch in the system, but without the G. Or you can also call me Leech, like a blood-sucking parasite or something. I think that's it for me.
Thanks, Alyssa. Yeah, I'll just go real quick. I'm John, current Chief Product Officer at ShapeShift, also formerly Chief Operations Officer, and sit on top of the operations department currently at centralized ShapeShift. But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to just being someone who can help contribute in this new world. I won't have any formal role with the operations workstream, but I will certainly be there to support and help and contribute where I can. And I'm looking forward to just seeing the operations workstream get kickstarted here in this meeting today and seeing other interest of community members getting involved. Bitcoin ETH favorite coins.
Yeah, it's been super helpful to have you and your guidance as this department's been developed over the years, and as you've kind of moved on into product and now are moving on into your Uber moderator role as the DAO or however you like to be, the all present John. Looks like we have Seth jumped on stage too. Seth, you want to give an intro?
Hey guys. So my Discord name is RODW. It's a reference to my favorite fictional philosopher. But you guys can just call me Seth. And I am here as part of my devious scheme to get perfect attendance. So yeah. My favorite crypto is Pirate Chain. It's the best privacy coin on the market. And so its goal is to make sure that your transactions cannot be tracked by anyone else on the network. And I'm currently involved in getting it added to ShapeShift. So I'm kind of a mediator for both sides, and I'm working on a proposal to make it happen. So what I hope to get out of today's meeting is essentially, I just want to learn more about the operations workstream. So I'm trying to attend as many meetings as I can and learn as much as I can so I can be productive.
So, well, you're definitely at the right place for that. And yeah, I appreciate your tenacity with Pirate Chain. Would love to see if we can get some privacy on the platform as well. And looks like we got a Willy Fox appeared.
Hey, a wild Willy Fox has appeared. What's up, everybody? My name's Willy Fox on Discord. My favorite crypto is Fox, of course. And I just wanted to come up here. I'm not planning to contribute in any regular capacity to operations workstream, although I do plan on staying involved with kind of all the work streams. But yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to operations. You guys have been such a core department at ShapeShift. And we've worked a lot with you at the product team, but really every department has worked a lot with ops, and you guys have done so much to help keep the ship running and sailing smoothly. And I think it's going to be especially important in this DAO world with all these work streams and this huge community for ops to help tie everything together, coordinate everybody, keep everyone on the same page, rowing in the same direction, just like you guys have done at ShapeShift. And I'm really excited for you guys to have 24-hour coverage. I think it's going to be awesome. And will be a great improvement and addition to the community. So today, just hope to hang out and see what you guys are thinking for the Workstream Kickoff and meet everyone else who's interested in contributing to the operations workstream. I know you guys have some open roles and are a great workstream for anyone who's interested in contributing in a regular, like full-time or part-time capacity. Operations workstream would be a great opportunity to get involved. Thanks.
I agree. I think that we've got a lot of great opportunities out there for the community, and a lot of different sort of engagement models, whether you'd like to do part-time, full-time, or even just be someone who is knowledgeable about the ShapeShift ecosystem and cares and would like to inform people and maybe get some tips back for being alert. I'd like to take one more second. If there's anyone else on the call who maybe is not associated with the current operations department, but has an operations background or is interested in potentially joining the workstream, if you'd like to raise your hand to jump up on the stage and speak, we'd love to have you give a little intro. And if not, we'll move on to the slides. All right. I'm going to take that as a sign that we should just go ahead and move on with the slides. So Shifty, would you please hit that next button? All right. So the operations workstream's mission. Our mission is to grow and develop healthy systems for reliably producing and maintaining the ShapeShift product suite and its uptime, responsiveness, and feature functionality. And in doing so, we can ensure the success for an open source, multi-chain, self-custody crypto platform, enabling billions to achieve financial sovereignty. And the one thing I like about our mission is that it's pretty open-ended and scalable to the ambitions of the DAO. So as new features get added, as new services get added, as we hone in on who our market base is and how we present all of not only our product suite, but the DAO itself, those are all things that the operations department is concerned with maintaining proper health and efficiency. Can we hit that next slide, please? The goals that the operations workstream is looking at is we're looking to minimize downtime of the entire product suite. We're hoping to catch all production environment bugs. We do our best to catch staging environment bugs too to be helpful, but more so for priority's sake, our focus is things that make it all the way to an end user in production. Triage and prioritizing bugs accordingly. This is something that we have honed a process over a couple of years at Centralized ShapeShift. And I'm really excited to see how we can improve this process even more with help from the community. And now that things will be more open source and open, really leaning into good ideas of anyone that would like to help us make ShapeShift's triage response time to bugs improved. And we'll get into that process a little bit later. That we identify production issue level bugs in regression tests. We do daily scheduled regression tests and would like to even expand that to the timelines within deployments. And within that, we are definitely making sure that we can catch any prod level bugs before they go all the way to an end user. If we can catch it before end users do, there's no spilt milk and everything is okay. So we're trying to do that as much as possible before end users see anything that could be a crack or a bug in our system. We monitor, measure, and increase efficiency in downtime and documentation of bugs and solutions and in maintenance ticket progress. So we're trying to make sure that everything runs efficiently, and we're trying to make sure that our process for running everything efficiently is also efficient. We organize cross-stream communication. So whether that be through Discord calls or organizing meetings or making sure everyone is on the same page for a specific project or a specific week, operations is here to make sure that we are the glue between work streams to make sure we don't have any redundancy on people working on the same thing when it should only be held by one work stream or any sort of thing like that. And then we hope to run successful community calls. If you joined the governance call, you've seen or heard myself chat about all of the things happening in governance. We have a few other calls that I believe to be important underneath the operations workstream umbrella, and we hope to make sure all of those are successful at engaging with the community, engaging with the people we invite to the calls, and making sure we continue to progress the strength of the really great DAO that we've been developing so far. Next slide, please. All right, so now we're going to get into the meat of it, the proposed responsibilities, and I'll try and go quickly through this and not get too detailed with each of these. If people have questions about some of these processes and protocols, we can definitely have future calls and meetings to go in detail to each of these processes, but to do them all in 1 hour here, we kind of got to go a little bit at a high level. So the 4 main things that have been outlined inside my proposal that people have been voting for is coverage for prod issue escalations, triage management, regularly scheduled regression and deployment testing, and cross work stream alignment and stakeholder resources. So we're going to deep dive into each one of those just a little bit. Next slide, please. So what does coverage for prod issue escalations look like? Operations is certainly not a group of engineers that is equipped to be able to make PRs and fix the actual issues that are happening when there might be a prod issue. But we are available to be the first response, maybe catching it via the community or support ticket. And we can ride along with the engineers by, 1, notifying them if our alerts haven't been configured correctly, so we can make sure that the right person is addressed to solve the problem. And then we can do any sort of manual testing during the fix and then after the fix to make sure that we don't introduce any further regressions and that we are having the smallest amount of responders respond to the appropriate priority of each issue, so we don't have the full team waking up in the middle of the night to fix a wacky URL on the website. And then, so within this, we've got what is a prod issue, what does coverage look like, and what are the community resources? Can we go to the next slide, please? And what is a prod issue? We've kind of had an evolution over the years at ShapeShift of what we deem to be hair on fire. We need to solve this problem right now. And one of the earliest first successful iterations of identification for prod issues was this acronym FIRES right here. And this was actually made by Danielle, our head of operations. So big props to her for creating this and making it something that people can remember. But this was our earliest iteration of identifying and staying with issues until their completion. You find the issue, you investigate the issues, you recreate the issue, you present examples of the issue in the appropriate channels, and then you stay with the issue until it's complete. This allowed us to move pretty efficiently through our space and continue to deploy successfully. It also presented a whole bunch of problems of big group decisions kind of needing to be made on each sort of prod issue, and people would stay with an issue that might not get resolved when they discover it. So then someone was an owner of a hair on fire issue for 12 hours, 24 hours, however long the problem took. So while this did help us identify and solve problems in an expedited manner, it wasn't necessarily the most efficient way for ShapeShift to utilize our cycles of our engineers and our operations team. And it certainly treated every single fire equally on the same playing field. So we started to get a little bit of deprioritization or Chicken Little-esque events of thinking that the sky was falling when maybe it was not necessarily the case. Next slide. So from that, we were able to develop a more honed list on what actual prod issues are. So we still have the spirit of fires, of being a firefighter and investigating things, but now we've more clearly defined what a specific prod issue is for the ShapeShift ecosystem. And currently at centralized ShapeShift, the prod issue list looks like this. Anything that would cause us to create a maintenance mode emergency where we replace the URL with ShapeShift is undergoing maintenance would be one of the following circumstances. If we were to discover customer liabilities, the potential to lose funds, if we were ever displaying the wrong addresses on the platform for sends and receives, or for someone's address balance, or if deposits weren't being detected. All of these circumstances are pretty rare. The customer liability potential to lose funds is extremely rare in the case of us being a non-custodial platform, but we still want to have our worries and concerns and alerts for what could potentially be an attack inside the crypto ecosystem. So those are levels in which if we can't problem solve with engineers in 30 minutes to get a fix, operations has the ability to make the call to request that we go into maintenance mode to further prevent users from experiencing the bugs that we're currently dealing with. Next slide. These are additional issues that are we would consider to be prod level issues that would have us follow the protocol of escalations to get someone from the engineering on-call team to help us resolve this issue. But these include BTC ETH sends not working, failed broadcast transactions, TXIDs not posting to chain, deposits not being received and detected for new balances in the platform. If all of the price data across the board is zero, or if users are unable to send funds. And again, that would be more within the umbrella of Bitcoin and ETH. There's a lot of different assets. If you're active in the chat, you'll even see someone was complaining about Minerium today. There's not a big enough of a use case of some of the smaller coins for us to treat one-off edge case issues of smaller coins as a prod level issue, and those get prioritized inside triage. But if we have something kind of across the board where CoinCap's data feed is out, or the platform is not receiving the price indications, things like that, we definitely want to escalate it. One of the features we've got right now is trade, and that's Thorchain and our DEX trade right now. And if trades are failing and users are unable to make successful trades, we would call that a prod level issue. We definitely dealt with our fair share of prod issues with Thorchain before they ended up having to go back and re-audit and update their contracts and things like that. So we are not currently in a live prod issue with Thorchain, and it's been acknowledged that once Thorchain is back up and running, we will treat the future scenarios with the same sense of urgency. And then the last on there of this list of prod issues is if the websites are down, if CoinCap is down for greater than 30 minutes, if you're just getting a 404 or it's not loading at all, that is a request to go into maintenance mode as well. Next page. There's more lists of prod issues. If the mobile app soft crashes, if it's unable to load at all, if we're sitting at a blank blue screen for greater than 30 minutes, that is also a trigger to go into maintenance mode. If the platform is not showing up for greater than 10 users' balances or information, sometimes we can equate small amounts of users experiencing this to user error. If we all of a sudden get a whole bunch of support tickets or a whole bunch of people in the Discord saying the same behavior pattern is experiencing they're experiencing the same behavior pattern, then that is something that we will try and escalate right away. If sign-in or sign-up services aren't working at all, you can't log in. This is something that we hope to, in the DAO, mitigate with potentially removing off and using login based on your wallet instead. So hopefully this will be something that we can cross off the list soon. If our validator is missing more than 10 blocks, this is also something that we used to check in on all of ShapeShift's validators. There's a proposal out there right now by Marley to take on validators in the future, and I hope to pass this off when the time comes to him once his proposal passes. Server disk database usage at 95%. These are all triggered alerts inside our centralized Slack that will be moving to the Discord and responding appropriately to any alerts from services is definitely something that is a key responsibility for coverage for Prod Issue Watch. For operations, any alerts that tell you to call the engineers because something is broken, a lot of those have been configured to do so, and we are definitely the Homer Simpson at the blinking buttons, making sure that if someone tells us to respond, that we need to respond and get the appropriate person there, and then any major service interruptions. There's also another section we'll get to after this where we'll talk about triage. Anything that has gone through the entire triage protocol flow and has been deemed a prod issue escalation from anyone inside the operations work stream, that will also be elevated and deemed appropriate for a prod issue. Next slide, please. And then last on this, kind of the most important one, security incidents. If there is any sort of evidence of a hack, of a large scale of missing money, of compromised funds, or a compromised wallet, this goes for both the product suite of ShapeShift, but also the DAO itself. Part of the responsibilities for operations in the past was making sure that our product suite worked, but also making sure that centralized ShapeShift's cold wallets and hot wallets and test funds and all of those things were appropriately accounted for. So some of those responsibilities will dissolve as we move into a community, and some of those will just kind of evolve and transform into the new needs of the DAO if any of these things were to happen. We hope and pray and knock on wood that none of these circumstances will ever have to happen, but it's best to have well-laid plans for any of these circumstances that we can follow through to make sure that we can mitigate any issues that might arise. And the flow for any supposed security incident is to contact security immediately. And that is something that if you suppose one of these symptoms to be the case, to do so in a more private manner with security. I'm sure the security workstream will have their best practice guide on how to contact them with something like this, but this is not something we would like to blast out publicly as well. If it is a supposed hack or something like that, having it be a need to know basis is something that really helps the security team identify things before we provide information to a potential hacker. All right, next slide, please. All right, all of that information was just what is a prod issue. We could dive in a lot deeper to all of these and may in the future, but for now, that's kind of the overall, that's what, if any of those things happen, we'll be inside our prod issues voice chat with some devs actively working on deploying things to fix a problem. What does coverage look like? Right now, we have a team of myself and 2 assistants. We try to work at 40 hours a week, and that does not give us 24/7 coverage. There is a budget later on in the slide where we'll get to where we have the budget to new hire 1 new team member per month up through the entire quarter. And I hope that if the needs arise and the devs need for 24/7 coverage for development arises, we'll be able to continue to stretch our coverage window to allow testing and deployments to happen 24/7. Currently, our testing window was provided to engineering to be 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Denver time. We had an additional operations assistant that was within that schedule to help provide that, who is no longer with the team. So unfortunately, providing that 8 to 6 window right now is a little bit of a stretch with how we're currently employed. And we hope to view the needs of the engineering team's deployment schedule and match them with our schedule in hopes that our new hires can continue to fill schedule slots. So right now coverage is a little less than 8 to 6 Denver time, and if something really needs to be deployed, the 3 team members, myself, Alyssa, and Shifty, are responding outside of hours to provide that assistance, which we are happy to do, but would love to spread that out and truly grow the team to fit the needs. And then the next section on that would be community resources. This is still an open-ended question. As operation develops, we'd love to figure out ways to engage with the community to help us with our tasks, to help us with our uptime, and to help us really solve these problems and responsibilities in a more decentralized fashion and manner. Understanding the right sort of compensation via tips or the right sort of work that can be handed off to the community in a way that we can assure the boxes are being checked to the right operations protocol is something that is up for discussion. And I'm definitely all ears towards community members who might have ideas towards that. I think we'll be in kind of an experimental laboratory process as we try and reach out to the community for these things. But if you have a keen eye for testing, if you are really good at that what's wrong between these two pictures sort of game, you might have some skills that would be very beneficial to the operations workstream. And we love to keep a dialogue open with the community about how we can engage with you and you can engage with us so we can make sure that everything works as intended. Next slide, please. Triage management. So outside of prod issues, there's a whole bunch of bugs in edge cases that show up inside our platform that are difficult, that may be bad user experiences, that may be incorrect, but also are not on the highest level of priority that we want to stop everything and stop progress to be able to address them. And in our time of working at ShapeShift, we've found that this list can really get exhaustive, and we can have a laundry list of to-dos of maintenance that will always be greater than the cycles of developers that we currently have to fix them. And hopefully in the DAO, this will be something that we can make more efficient and make some bounties and do things that we can always have progress being made on these and not have so much of a bottleneck towards development. But in the meantime, ShapeShift and the operations department have honed a very specific protocol on how we manage and maintain and prioritize all of our triage issues. The first thing that we have is a report issues form, which is actually inside the Discord and has been recently opened up to the entire community. It is not a support tool. So if you're having a regular issue with I can't see my funds, I can't log in, one of these, we will definitely direct you to the proper support channel for someone to give you the assistance with your issue. But if you identify a bug or something that is maybe deeper than something that has been solved via a help desk or requires customer support assistance, we have a new form that has some troubleshooting tips above it, and then is a bot that will DM you and ask you for the specifics of what you're experiencing. And if you can provide all of those details and submit the form to us, that goes directly to a private triage channel where the operations team is able to diagnose, recreate, and then prioritize each of these issues with enough details that they don't get lost in translation when they are made to active working tickets for devs. This process looks like that issue reporter, and then that funnels into a channel called Triage. The Triage channel is full of threads of individual reports and tickets from each issue, and a Triage report that is submitted weekly that has all of the details of the last week's Triage issues ranked in order of priority, as well as the statuses of each of them and which have been solved. And then there is a triage tracking sheet, which is a massive repo of all of the individual issues. Some of the issues are things like unable to send Ripple broadcast Ripple transactions and I know a lot of people at ShapeShift don't really care about Ripple, but we don't want to have our bias influence users' experience of our platform. So it's been deprioritized down towards the bottom of the list. And the more that users report it, the higher that gets ranked up on the triage tracking sheet, which can allow us to prioritize a fix for it faster. All of the management of the triage report, the triage tracking, and any prioritization is done through a weekly meeting called Unsolved User Problems. This is a meeting that has operations stakeholders as well as all of the departments from centralized ShapeShift. In the Workstream future, I hope to see representatives from all of them as well, but it's where we can have someone from marketing, product, engineering, all there to talk about a specific issue and maybe glean knowledge from a recreation that one department might know that the other might not, and really hone in and focus our priorities. This will be something that we will be opening up to listen in for the community. And again, this is not a support level workflow. If you're coming into this channel to say ShapeShift stole my foxes because your password got pwned, that is not something we will be able to address inside this. But if you are experiencing the inability to click a button from a UX perspective that you used to be able to click, this is the perfect funnel for you to be heard, addressed, and hopefully have your issue resolved. And then the last question again is, how does the community fit inside this triage management? I think there's going to be a lot of benefit to certain community members really knowing how to use that report issues form. And I hope maybe for people who do so successfully, we can provide bounties and tips to doing so. And then beyond that, jumping inside these meetings and maybe even getting some access and permissions to interested foxes to join our triage process and see how we diagnose these individual issues and prioritize them could be a great way for the community to start to get involved. And I hope that community members, maybe at this Q&A or maybe afterwards in discussions or via DMs, we can figure out how to continually scale and lean into the resources that is this great community here. Next slide. So here I snuck in my slide from our centralized AllFox last month, which was kind of the end of the numbers for all of our triage and prod issue tracking. And I'm not going to go over all of the specifics of all of these, but as you can see, we managed to handle almost 600 issues reported in less than a year that the triage protocol had been in place. We had an 89% resolution rate after our last big push to solve issues before opening up everything. And then operations definitely tries to keep some eyes and numbers on the engineering team and the operations team's time spent fighting issues, both in and outside of regular work hours, which may or may not be a metric moving into this new decentralized DAO, but all of these are keen analytics that we'd like to continue to hone about our success, uptime, and availability. Next slide. All right. The next one of our proposed responsibilities is regularly scheduled regression and deployment testing. So within this, these are the testing resources and tools that we have so we can be an asset to engineering. This means that we have all mobile devices. We have a physical computer device that we can test Mac and Windows when we need to. We have all of the hardware devices from a Trezor, a Ledger, a KeepKey, a Portis wallet. We have a mobile simulator that helps us test in staging environments as well. And all of these tools are things that we are fairly intimate with for engaging with the platform. We're also extremely familiar with all of the edge cases of the platform and all of the different feature sets there. So If you are someone who's been doing a lot of staking or someone who's been managing a pretty diverse portfolio, you might have a lot of these skill sets to be successful at doing testing in the operations workstream already. One of the things we have is a prod issues prevention test. All of those details that we got on that earlier slides about prod issues are things that we've focused into a very specific MVP test that we try to do with every deploy, just to make sure that sends are working, all of those things that we had on that previous list won't accidentally trip and break when a deploy goes out live. We have full regression test schedule right now that is currently at the beginning of our shift and at the end of our shift. As we scale and grow, I would love to see that happen pretty regularly throughout. This is different than a full pip test that is just hitting the MVP of making sure things don't break. And this is going into more of the detailed edge cases. And then again, got a question for how can we lean into the community with this in the future? I think that it would be kind of drinking from a fire hose for us to open up a full regression test or even a pip test to the community. But I think that there are baby steps that we can use to grow towards the community, helping us be alert as to what the expected functionality of our platform is and how we handle it when that is not achieved. Next slide, please. The last of the proposed responsibilities is for the operations workstream to be a cross workstream alignment and stakeholder resource. So things that we can provide in that are meetings. We hope to have these regularly scheduled meetings, a weekly op sync, which is an early beginning of the week meeting for each stakeholder from each different workstream to give a high level a summary of what the plans are for the week or maybe what they accomplished or achieved last week. We have a weekly governance call, which we've been running pretty successfully and will continue to run. Those happen on Thursdays. We hope you join us if you haven't yet. We have an unsolved users problem, which is also a weekly one that goes over all of the triage issues that I mentioned earlier. And then we have a monthly Allfox, and this is kind of another high level, but a little bit more detailed for each department about the successes and KPIs and goals and metrics of the entire month. And each work stream gets a few slides to be able to communicate what has been going on. Those right now will still be run by our centralized team for a short amount of time, and then we'll transition over to the decentralized team probably in October or November. And then I've got a gap here, and then these are services that we can offer. By no means are they required, but we've found a lot of success at centralized ShapeShift doing these things. So those are go no goes, retros, kickoffs, community calls, and any sort of scribing or note taking you would like us to do for teams. These can help those resources move by more efficiently, get an objective person inside there if you've got a whole bunch of people mad as to why a deployment didn't go off on the right schedule, and really help us be more efficient as we grow and learn. Next slide, please. Whew. So that's all of the proposed responsibilities. And right now, those responsibilities are to be maintained by a team of 3 people, myself, Alyssa, and Shifty. Our hope is that as we grow into these, the DAO will show that we do need a much larger team, and we will continue to grow and add to that team to make sure that we meet the needs of ShapeShift and the DAO. Next slide. So this is the budget. You can also see this in the form post to the proposal. And like I said earlier, there are 4 operations assistants budgeted slots for us to add one a month for a full-time role. And there's also some discretionary and test funds in that bottom half that allow us to be successful and make sure all of our new hires have the right devices, the right equipment, the right training. This budget, if we find out in the DAO, we can strip away a lot of our responsibilities, and myself, Alyssa, and Shifty are able to do all of this with just the 3 of us. We can maintain just the 3 of us, and that budget item is just those 3 all the way through January. My feeling and spidey senses say that we'll probably need at least 1, if not potentially all of those budgeted. So that is our hope to meet the needs via hiring in our team. If you are interested in joining the operations team, please keep your eyes out for job descriptions and the hiring process. We're definitely still at a meet the needs before we just go out and start demanding that we hire. But my hope is that we will find those needs here this month and be ready to start the process before October. Next slide, please. All right, and then that brings up the questions of what's the next steps with operations in the DAO. And these are the big ideas that I had, and I know that the community will have a lot more for how we can be efficient, but transferring any of our centralized needs to what they might be in decentralized needs, and always asking the question of, is this still essential to the DAO? Do we need it? Do we not? How can we continue to get community involvement inside this work stream? What are the future needs going to be for the ShapeShift of the future, for the DAO of the future? I don't want to just solve the problems for what a user is experiencing now, but how do we see where the puck is going? How do we embrace efficiency always? Maybe there's a future where the work stream for operations has become so efficient that we've worked our way out of the budget and we no longer are necessary. I think that would be great, and we could lean completely on the community. Until that time, we're going to lean into the efficiencies that we've developed and continue to hope for the best protocols and practices for the DAO. And then to just DAO it. We're here to do whatever we can for any other work stream that might need it. So if you're looking for help from something, I know that our community mods in Hunt and Giantkin have been super helpful in the glue for a lot of it. The operations team is here to do the same, and I'll also provide some relief to the C mods as well. Next slide. I'd love to open up the floor to any questions. I don't know if anything got asked in the stage chat, or if there's anyone on the stage who's been asking or who's been watching who could ask a question. Lots of memes about Thor. I see a question from Gray Machine that says, is our data collected on the are you satisfied with the resolution? That is usually a support question. We haven't built that into specifically with Triage, but I think that's a great suggestion. And I hope to build some kind of metric around that to make sure that we're not just doing MVP, minimum viable product, but maybe MLP, minimum lovable product. Looks like we had someone hop up on the stage. Mr. Nerdhair.
Oh, yeah. I had some stuff to say, but Arena has next to the list, so I brought her up.
Sweet.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Hey, Arena. Go ahead.
Hi.
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, I should have spoken at the beginning, but I couldn't get my microphone to work. So I just wanted to introduce myself. So I just wanted to introduce myself quickly and just let you guys know that I'm very much interested in the operations work stream and contributing to the DAO. So hi everyone, my name is Arena. I would love to be a part of this work stream. So just a bit about myself. I'm from Lithuania, a small country in Eastern Europe. However, I spent the last 17 years living in the UK. My background is more legal compliance related. However, in my last company, I was very much involved in support and management with initiatives to improve internal systems. It was a very, very busy department, so any inefficiencies would have caused great delays. And, I think that my skills and experience fit within the operations workstream's mission. And also me being in Lithuania, maybe I thought that I could help with fixing the prod issues that Tyler spoke about at the times when you guys are sleeping. And in general, I just hope I can contribute to making the work stream more efficient. And it's lovely to meet you, everyone.
Nice to meet you too.
Thanks, Arena. Really lovely to meet you. Look forward to working with you and collaborating together and learning from your experience. Hey, Never Was, you hopped up as well.
We can see that you're speaking, but can't hear you. Maybe drop out of the stage and come back. I've also had similar problems if my mic is set wrong on my operating system settings. So in the meantime, let me just take this opportunity to plug operations for everybody.
Well, Never Was fixes
that. So we hope that our V2 platform is going to be super great and not have any bugs, because that's always aspirational. But these guys have been a invaluable engineering resource resource for engineering, resource for the engineers. Anyway, as an engineer, if I have a thing and I want to deploy it, I can be like, hey, this is probably going to break a bunch of crap. Can you make sure it doesn't break a bunch of crap? That's really nice, because not asking your customers to do testing is good. So I fully support our new operations overlords.
Thanks, Mr. Nerd Hair.
Thank you, Mr. Nerd. Hey, Shifty, could you go to the next slide as well and bring that POAP back up for anyone who may have missed it from the beginning?
Sure.
Yeah. And Never Was, did we figure out your mic?
Just a heads up that we got the engineering call starting in 2 minutes on the same stage, so we'll have a hard stop coming up soon.
Thank you for that warning as well, Billy. It looks like your mic might be having some issues. I'd love for you to be able to type out your questions or your statement in that stage chat, and we'll be able to address it. I'm going to just do some closing notes now that we've got engineering about to kick me off. Please, anyone, grab that POAP if you haven't before it gets farmed by all of the POAP farmers out there. And then make sure that you please vote for our proposal as well if you haven't. Would love to see us get even more support from the community behind what our intentions are to do this. If you have any ideas, any questions, anything about how operations can continue to be efficient or help efficiency, please reach out to me in one of the channels or via DM, and I'll do my best to see how we can incorporate your ideas into our work stream for success. So with that, I think I will pass it over to, I believe Josh is going to be the one leading engineering. And I know they'll probably have some setup, or if there's anyone else who's going to be leading the engineering kickoff in here, if you'd like to hop up here and start getting your screen sharing and system up, happy to pass the mic.
Thanks, Tyler.
The operations